Hi guys, welcome in.
Hola.
This is Monk.
It is Monk. How is everyone?
So I am gonna go ahead and try to pull a topic because I wanted to come in and hang out with Monk and talk about something. I don't know what.
Yeah.
But kind of
whatever
wanted
the
to.
cards decide
Yeah,
today.
whatever they decide, and we'll talk about it. And I can feel like my shadow deck is coming. So yeah, eventually, I would love to do a podcast with Monk. Monk is my love and my twin flame. So I like to. I want to kind of, I don't know, start introducing and having you on here sometime. Yeah. Okay.
Shadow deck.
Okay, so shadow deck. Okay, so this is about loss kind of stopping us from moving forward, struggling with loss, struggling with grief, and not processing that loss and grief to the point where it stops you from doing things. And it's keeping us asleep. And so it's keeping us from being awake. So that's energetically what the card reading feels like it's going to be about. This is the card I was going for, but we're getting this one coming out as well. And this one's kind of sliding around on there. So let's see what this one is. This is the one that we got. So we're struggling with addiction. This can be obsession. This can be not letting go of something. This can be addicted to loss or a certain type of mindset. Overall, though, this is what is going to talk about it. So blinded to pain. So having an issue with not being able to grieve or being stuck in that negative mindset that's disallowing us from experiencing growth.
Yeah.
Kind of have a heavy conversation.
Well, it reminds me of a lyric of addicted to a certain kind of sad.
Yeah, exactly. It does feel like that. So yeah, being blinded to the pain, and it's upside down. So this is struggling to know that you are blinded to the pain. So we're struggling to see that we are, and then we're also struggling with that addiction. So being stuck in that more negative mindset and then not being able to break free. And we talked about this is related to loss and grief. So this a lot of this is probably about thinking that we are fated to suffer, essentially.
I'm gonna pull up the chat over here so that I can also see it.
Okay.
In the corner.
So I'm pulling one more card on this because this is a heavy subject. So I won't cry for you. So this is not allowing ourselves to grieve what has been happening to us. So, and this isn't upside down. So this is not something that we're struggling to understand. We know that we are suppressing ourselves. We know that we are not crying for ourselves and that we are not being vulnerable with ourselves and knowing. So this is, again, very heavy subject.
Mm.
So we're not dealing with this pain. We're trying to blind ourselves to it, and then yet we find ourselves addicted to it and not understanding that is its perspective. Geez, this is heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything to add to this subject before we jump into I want to dive a little bit more in to the loss part of it. I feel called to dive more into that.
Well, when I look at the moon phase on the I Won't Cry For You, I see that it's a half moon, and I feel like it's that card is only half of the truth.
Yeah, so we're avoiding seeing the other half, and that's part of that, being blinded to the pain and not realizing that this is a sort of addiction, being addicted to basically shutting yourself down and not actually processing. This card is kind of I feel like this is the bridge to allowing ourselves to cry for ourselves. Holding a vigil. So, wow. Okay, so allowing yourself to basically grieve yourself.
Yeah.
To hold
hello.
Hold space. Hi, how's that going? Mr. Savage, or how do you say your name?
I think it's Savage.
Savage?
Or
Savestic?
Yeah. Savage stick.
But yeah, so it says to hold a vigil for yourself. So this is allowing yourself to cry. And when I see this, like, it reminds me of, like, grieving the part of you that you wanted to be through all of the pain that caused you to not be that. So I had a really heavy reading actually earlier in the day, and a guy was talking about his loss of innocence and, like, him shutting down and being met with walls, and how, like, it has caused him to not let people in. And I think that this is what this is. And he's like, that person is dead. And I'm like, that person is not dead. That person is still you. It's still you on the inside. But he needs to be able to grieve what he feels like could have been had those things not happened. So that way he can see the pain. So he can start seeing the pattern in which that we have been addicted to through habit of, like, having this negative mindset and saying, I'm not going to cry for myself. Being able to process it. So this is about holding that vigil for yourself, for the part of you that you feel like you could have been if the pain hadn't been a part of your life.
Yeah.
Can you call me? Oh, you can call me Savvy? Nice. Basically, it's Savage Majestic. Oh, nice. Okay.
Savage Majestic.
I like that. Yeah, kind of coming in on kind of a heavy topic today.
Yeah, the shadow deck likes to punch hard.
Yeah, when the shadow deck comes out, I like to tell people, like, oh my gosh, like, I hope you're ready to hear something from your subconscious, and might not be on the conscious level. And I try to warn people. I haven't normally seen it come out on a collective very often. But I think there's a lot of transmuting and a lot of, like, people trying to let go of old patterns currently, and that's part of that spiritual awakening. And I did talk about that, like, if we're not working through this, then we're not coming into that awakening. So I think that that's why this is happening, is because we have to learn to cry for ourselves. We have to learn to be vulnerable with ourselves, to see where we might be blinding ourselves from the pain and going, I'm not going to see that. And then also seeing where we're having the addictive behavior to, like, seek these people out, these people that we know are misaligned.
Yeah.
And they are causing us pain, and we are accidentally seeking them out. We don't want to do that. We don't want to continue to do that. So that's why we have to process it and see, like, who could I have been without this pain? Who could I have been if I had been embraced with love, given the love and the nurturing, if it was back that far in your childhood? Who would I be if that hadn't happened? And then grieve that person, the person that would have been you. And then you can see that version of you, and then it'll help you lift that veil of blindness towards the pain. Okay. And I am seeing, like, a crossroads here, so, like, energetically I'm feeling a crossroads. A lot of people, when they start feeling that blinded to pain, they start suppressing and feeling like this is just the way life is, like, there's a loss of hope. And a part of the reason why you won't cry for yourself is due to the loss of hope. And we don't want to lose hope. And that's why we need to remember who we were. Warm. Thank you so much for the follow.
Warmaha.
Warmaha. Yeah, welcome in. We're kind of having a deep reading today. We pulled some cards to talk about a topic, and I can change the topic here at the bottom because we know what the topic is now. The topic is basically not to lose hope, right?
Yeah.
Never lose hope. So this is never lose hope. We are allowed to grieve the person that we feel like we should have been. And with these things that have happened to us, like, we're allowed to then hold space for that. Yes, that is fine. That is a good one. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that's what the crossroads is.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
It's difficult to, I don't know, I think that everyone has different perspectives on reflecting on their past. And I guess maybe there's a shift in perspective that I need to undergo, but I've never felt like that it is healthy to try to consider who I would have been had the people in my past had been more supportive.
You never allowed yourself to do that before?
Yeah, I thought about it when I was young, when there were times where I really struggled with wanting to have had that support and wanting to have had their validation, and there were plenty of times where I had wished and I had decided at a certain point of my life that I felt that was unhealthy.
Well, I definitely don't think it's unhealthy. I think that through my healing journey, one of the things that I had to do was grieve the mother that I thought my mom was, conceptually who I thought she should be, and allow myself to grieve that version of her that never existed, and that I wanted, and then step up to the plate for me to then fill that role.
Yeah.
So I start filling the role of the pieces that I was hoping other people would fill. And when it comes to the loss of innocence and things like that happens where people are shoving you down and hurting you, and then they suppress this beautiful I guess I did another reading too where we talked about a mushroom pushing through the dirt and then having to grow in darkness. And being forced to grow in darkness, and how people suppress and try to keep you from growing into a beautiful mushroom because it makes them reflect on themselves, and they might not like themselves, so they don't want to have to reflect on themselves and what they failed at, and saw that they weren't able to grow, so they try to suppress other people's growth. Just imagining how I would have been had I not had that suppression. And then grieving that version of you, because that version is still in you and it's still there, and through bringing that up and you basically set your inner child free.
Yeah. And maybe if I elaborate, we're saying the same thing. It's not to say that I think that it is unhealthy to reflect. I think that the way to do that, I have a particular opinion on it. What I am trying to say is that if I were to think about the lack of support or the damage that has been done, I don't think about it in such a way of other people. I think about it in the way well, that was the situation, that's what it was, it is what it is, and how do I as a person move forward, and how do I as a person facilitate a better way forward for the people that I care about.
Yeah. Well, I think that the card reading here is talking about how to relieve the pain or be aware of the pain is through grieving that version of you, to lift the veil of pain. So then that way we can start see it, so we can break the cycle. Because if we're in this endless cycle of thinking that this is all that life is, and these are the people we're bringing in, we're not able to then see. So it's cry for myself, hold a visual for myself, I wanted to be this, I wasn't allowed to be this because this person suppressed me, this person defeated me, this person made me feel with doubt, and then I went a different direction. I'm allowed to grieve that version of me that I had ideally in mind.
Yeah.
And then we're able to then no longer be blind to the pain, and then we can start breaking the cycle. But let's catch up with some...
Savvy says, as a person who is stuck in a Five of Cups state, I can surely understand it. Could you... I'm not
okay,
sure
so Five of Cups is painful emotion.
Okay.
So that is being wrapped in pain, in an emotional state of pain.
Yeah. True that. That is sure a good idea to think. Warmaha also said, also if could come to that person in the end. That is a really good one. Really like this idea.
Yeah.
Savvy says, I could consider myself lucky, as before I could stand for myself, I always had such sisterly figures in my life who supported me. like a guard before I truly understood the divine in myself.
That's beautiful. No, I'm glad that you had that support system. Not everybody does, and to hold appreciation for those that did support us, like that's like groundbreaking as well, because a lot of the times when you're too far into the hole, you can't see the people that are helping you. So that shows a level of growth if you can show appreciation, and I'm getting chills, so I don't know who's talking to me. I'm sorry, I'm a medium, guys, so somebody's saying yes, 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 more of that. It might be your guides, Savvy, since that was what you said, and I'm getting confirmation yes. I'm also getting a lot of deep-seated, I don't know how else to put it, but yes, the answer was yes. But anyway, we're gonna move on, because like I try not to read people's energies without permission, but when your guides come over here, I kind of have a hard time not listening to them. So when your guides reach out, I listen if it's appropriate and relay. Yeah. So, like, understanding that there are people that are helping you and being able to see that, like, that's groundbreaking, and you should be very proud of that. Because that means that you're outside of your hole enough, because we fall into these holes, or we dig these holes, and then we have to climb out of them. And when we're deep in the hole, we can't see the people that are helping us. So if you're able to hold appreciation for the people that were there in your life, that is a huge level of growth. And I'm getting confirmation again, and I'm getting chills and goosebumps. Your guides are saying, yes, that's where you are, Savvy. So be proud of yourself. Please be proud of yourself. Okay. If it's for one person, then sure, listening, that person is the only thing. I think I'm missing some of what's being said. I personally feel anything bad happening happens for a reason. Yeah, I believe that too. It's all about growth and development, and if we can take that perspective, like, we can turn that bad thing into something that allows us to heal. And then through our healing, we can help other people that have been through relative situations. So I totally agree with that. Everything happens for a reason. Like we know in tarot, a tower is just a chance to rebuild the foundation. Exactly. And a lot of the way that I see the tower, and the way I tell people to see the tower is to see it as like you standing up for yourself and having boundaries for yourself specifically. And those boundaries are causing other people to have their tower moments where they can't be around you. So it looks like the city is burning, but truly it's because you are standing up in your boundaries, and it's making those people that are used to taking your energy fall. So it's like the tower moment is us jumping out of the tower and the tower is burning and collapsing because we're no longer a part of it, if that makes sense. They were feeding off of us. And I got chills again, so yeah. Okay, so let's see. Death is a representation of rebirth. Exactly, you can't have one without the other. It's a cycle. When one door closes, another one opens, or several open. Do not think that is always that straight, but it can be. But sure, what goes around affects. Yeah. To a degree. To a degree. Okay, I feel called to pull another card. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna kind of calm my energy a little bit too. I'm feeling a little anxiety, so I'm gonna kind of breathe to balance myself. It's really important when you are practicing your mediumship or when you are doing anything like that to be grounded. So if I just stop for a moment to breathe, it's just, yeah, I just need to like bring it down a level. I try to be a gray medium. That means balanced. I'm trying to be balanced exactly in as much of my darkness as my light. So I try to tell people that duality is extremely important, and especially if you're on a healing journey trying to be a lighthouse for other people, we have to be balanced. Okay, so this is the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is the balance of care, struggling to try to bring in the things that we care about into fruition. So that is trying to, like, ideally, this is who I want to be, but trying to balance that in the world that we currently are in. So this makes a lot of sense that it's on top of the vigil. So that means that, like, we can't cry for ourselves. We don't feel like who we want to be fits in the world. And that's that's because that's the people we're surrounding ourselves with. You can see that this is surrounding, right? It's surrounding. This is the cycle. And we have to break out of that cycle to get what we want. And here I see like the 2 torches, and she's holding a moon. So this is like that idea that we hold the ability to break free. We hold that light within us to break free of this cycle, but we haven't done it yet. And I think it's because we're blind to that pain, and we don't see yet that we're addicted to the cycle of pain. And we have to break free of that first. We have to become unbound by blindness. Let me see. Let me see. We never had this old times. Readings are so different. What do you mean? We never had this old times?
I think it's being able to do a collective reading over the internet, streaming it, you know.
Yeah, and people are waking up, and that's part of it. Like, we are coming into new spiritual awareness, and we're trying to help other people come into that spiritual awareness and heal the self, which is a beautiful time to be alive if you want to look at it that way, for sure. This one's about the being blinded to pain. I'm going to go ahead and put it there. So this is the 8 of Swords. So this is a problem of the true self being stuck in the head. So again, this is upside down. And you can see, like, she's tied up here and she's blindfolded. So again, the theme of being blindfolded, we talked about this being a part of the blinded to pain. And the swords are the mind. So she is bound by her own mind because she is blind to her pain. So that doesn't surprise me. So that just kind of adds to the understanding that we're essentially hanging ourselves because we are choosing not to see. If you look at this card, the noose is very loose around her neck. And if she had taken off the blindfold, if she takes she would be able to see how easy it is to remove that noose from around her neck. And it's sad because you see this crow looking down and watching, possibly wanting to help, but you have these rats that are surrounding her at the bottom of the card. The rats are surrounding, kind of like they're aware of what's happening, but they're not there to help. And then you have the crow here. It kind of feels like, or maybe guides or something like that, that's trying to get her to wake up. She's kind of looking towards that direction. Then you've got some moths on the branch too. And moths to me signify the want to grow, or like being able to spot the light in the darkness. And she's kind of looking towards the moths there, even though there's a blindfold. Like, she wants to grow. She wants to get to this point where she can see that she's holding that light.
And hello there, Slowman? Almond? Oh.
Stephanie.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'm so old. You're an old person. Only prospectively, you're only as old as you feel. Sometimes what hurts is when someone helped you when you were low and down, but mistakes happen from your side, and now you can feel their struggle but can't help them, especially when you have empathy. Honestly, that's the reason I am stuck in the 5 of Cups energy, even if it leads me to the journey of understanding myself in divine. Sometimes you are so grateful to someone that bound the matter, no matter the way, more than it should. Yeah, more than you should. I think that's why you're here looking at this reading, honestly, Savvy. We talked about being addicted to the cycle. Sometimes when we are trying to help these people that are too far down in the hole, they pull us down into the hole with them. So it's that awareness of, like, is this person, if I try to help this person, am I losing parts of myself in order to help them? And then being addicted to that cycle, codependencies is an addiction. Mm-hmm. Feeling like I can't leave this person behind, even though we know there's a misalignment and we know this person is hurting us. We want to help them, but they're dragging us down to the point where we are not able to see our own light, and we're missing the mark on our own spiritual awakening. Okay, so this card I just pulled, I don't know what it is. It wants to go on her lips, so that means to me that this is some sort of advice about the blind. But it's not about the blind, it's advice about the blind. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's see what it is. This is the Queen of Pentacles. So this is the, like, basically the intuition side of the material. So this is being able to use your intuition and your discernment around these material lives and connections, and making sure that we are having that discernment. Like, in knowing, like, deep down in my gut, I know this person is not good for me, so I need to listen to that. I need to listen to that advice. That's why it's on our lips. You need to listen to it. You know this person's not good for you. But you keep trying to, because we are addicted to that connection for some reason. But awareness is always first. And sometimes the awareness is more intuition. The intuition is awareness. A form of it. Okay, let's see. Done reading so many things, but this is interesting. Probably one who can have readings. You can read me if you like, and I would love it a lot. So I do readings. I forgot my menu is not on. I do personal readings. I do the 3-card pull, but it starts with, I just turned it on. It starts with an energy read. I like to warn people about the energy read because that's, like, very ungrounded, especially on the internet when I have nothing to read other than your username. But I'm reading your energy, and then we jump into the card reading part. But yeah. And then the runes are like a series of yes and no questions, and it starts with an energy read as well. But yeah, let me know if you're interested in that, and we can talk more about it. But I do realize that that menu wasn't on. Okay, so I feel like this one wants to go towards the camera. So it doesn't feel like advice. Like, it feels like something about being jaded. And the awareness. Awareness is always key first. So I think this is the first. Yeah, I'm getting an energy burn. So this is the first key to awareness and understanding. So what is this? What is this? Reflection. 2 of Swords. So I talked about that awareness. So she's reflecting and looking at herself, guys. She's looking at herself, and the 2 of Swords is balancing the mind. And we're struggling to balance the mind. We're struggling to see these people that are surrounding us are not good for us. See, they're coming at her. And we're not seeing that we're trapped in that cycle because we're not balancing our minds. So awareness is always key, guys. And she's looking at herself in the fog, which is a form of scrying. So I don't know if anyone's aware of what scrying is, but that's being able to reflect and look at your own energy. Yeah, it's sending your energy out to something that reflects it back so you can read yourself. So it's awareness, guys. You got to reflect it on yourself, so then that way you can see. And that's why the vigil is key to understanding the self, so you're no longer blind. And again, the theme, guys, blind, blind, blind. Look, she's blinded. So this is definitely the theme, guys. We are blinded to our own pain because we're not reflecting on the self and who we could have been without these cycles. And the first thing is to be aware that these cycles are hurting us, so that way we can pull ourselves out of these codependencies and these things that are tying us to these addictions. They could be drugs, they could be alcohol, they could be people, they could be habits. These cycles are not good for us, and yeah, people, things, places, too much of it, anything is bad. So we just need to make sure that we're not falling into those addictions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to catch up with chat real quick.
She won't be reading a specific person because, as the menu points out, she doesn't do the readings for free.
Yeah, so right now what I'm doing is a collective reading. So when I do the collective readings, I am tied into a collective beyond here. I do post these on YouTube as well. So like when people find it, then they're supposed to find it. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. So the people that are in here, for some reason they feel called here. Sometimes it might then resonate with you because you feel called here. But yeah, if anyone ever wants a personal reading, if they don't want, I do full card reads as well. I do mediumship readings, talking to past loved ones that have passed away, things like that. But I don't do that on Twitch because it's too personal. And I want to be able to have more privacy for those, because especially with the full card readings, they can get really deep and very, very not appropriate for a public space. We'll just say it that way. The 3 cards aren't appropriate for a public space either, because they're very deep. And
they know.
Yeah, but at that point, but the thing is, it's a little, I guess there's a little bit more privacy being that it's online, because when I do them at the farmer's market and people start crying, I don't have a way to hide and shield that person and I feel awful.
Yeah.
But they know when they're sitting in front of me, what they might be getting into, I guess, because they're in the public space. But yeah. Yeah, that's $20 a reading. Let's see, dependencies. Sure make you weak, agrees, as the only things that we have forever is just ourselves, nothing else. So what do you mean dependencies? Because I'm feeling like turned around here, like my guides are grabbing my hand and they're kind of like turning me in a circle. So I'm trying to figure out what that means. I think that there's a misunderstanding, because when we're talking about codependency, like some of these dependencies are necessary where some of them are toxic, and we just have to use that discernment. So when we were talking about knowing the Queen of Pentacles, knowing intuitionally that this person is bad for us in order to break that cycle is really important. But some people need us, but we need to make that discernment. Who is damaging us as we're trying to help them? What people can we guide because they're far enough on the hole, like out of the hole, like they're on the edge and they're like reaching for you and they're ready to come out. Those people could benefit from you, but the people that are too far in their hole and you're reaching down into their hole, they're going to pull you down with them. So it's that intuitional discernment, because we want to be able to help each other.
It's just a bot.
Oh, it's a bot?
Yeah, you can delete and block it if you want.
I don't know how to do that from here. Like, it has the little thing there.
You can mod me.
Oh. How do I mod you?
Right click on my name.
Right click on your name.
Yeah. Here.
Purge and delete is what I got.
Oh, you're gonna delete me.
No, I don't want to delete you. I think I could just, I think it's score mod and then at, right?
Yeah, you might be able to do that.
Let me try to mod you that way. Action mod. Sorry guys, I'm gonna try to mod him real quick so we can get rid of some of these bots. Mod and then at.
I think just my username. I think it's just space my username.
Space and then your name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me know if that works. Okay, I'm done reading so many years, and that is true. That has to really private and, yeah, interactive. You have mine love for that as an old reader. It's funny to hear reader that really want to do real readings. Yeah, it is. I think that it's important to put ourselves out there, though, in a way that the public can see the readers that are doing this type of work. I am a medium, and I have my own metaphysical store. I've written my own book. I'm working on a tarot deck. This is definitely, like, I feel like this is a life purpose for me, so I'm just now putting myself out there in this way, like in more public eye. I was a Twitch streamer doing art for like 6 years, but I started trying to do my mediumship through there, and there was just a misalignment. And it's funny that we're talking about that, because we have to have awareness of the misalignment so we can step away to find our people, and that's why I'm starting my account over. I want people to follow me for the right reasons, and be authentically myself, and we'll find alignment. Like, I will find it, and sometimes starting over hurts. Like, it sucks. As a ex-codependent person, it's really hard to step away, especially when I felt like I built a community of people, but when I saw that there was a mismatch of my community not liking this version of me, like, it broke my heart. So I needed to walk away in order to find the community that better suits the version of me that I am now. And yeah, I can grieve the loss of that community. I can grieve that loss and version of myself because I have changed. And that's what this card reading's about, is breaking those cycles, understanding that I could be addicted to streaming on that same platform with the same community, and that's hindering my own pain because I'm being blind to my own pain, and I'm not listening to myself and how this hurts. So it's about breaking that cycle. Well, yes, it will be available online. Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be available on through my site. Mm-hmm. So. Sadly, do not get many people here because you do things as should. I feel so bad. What do you mean? Me personally, or just like people in general? I just started my account, so I definitely am building the community. I haven't even affiliated yet, so it's a process. I love this so much, but scared you don't make enough money. Oh, no. That's why I'm charging. I am running my own business, and one of the reasons why I can't do free readings is because I'm literally cutting into my own business if I do that. I do the 3-card pulls and the rune readings on walk-in. All of the other ones are appointment only, and I do lots of things. Like, I do oracle readings, which sadly I will not be able to do online, because that's something where I need to be able to see the person's reflection through the crystal pyramid, so the energy will bounce around, and then having them using a tuning fork, putting their energy into it so I can do some oracle readings. It's very much like a crystal ball, but without the necessary of light. I talk about it in my book, but anyway, there's just some things that I'm not going to be able to do online, and I'm just, that's just something that I'm just going to have to. If people want to travel to come and have me do a reading, they'll decide if that's what's for them.
When we have the time, we're definitely going to be looking into Kick. We just haven't had the chance, I don't think.
Yeah, I've heard of Kick, like in passing. I keep hearing about it, but one of the other things we want to do is podcasts, where we just have like a back and forth, you and I, like, just talking about specific subjects. And honestly, this is really working with the topic polls, with the cards, because it's whatever the universe wants to talk about. And that today was a hard-hitting topic, but I think they hit the nail on the head. A lot of people are trying to break out of these cycles. They're trying to work through their fears, work through their conditioning. And to be honest, the blind to pain is conditioning. Yeah. It's living in a cupboard. Should I give them that example real quick? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when I do readings, I give this example. Back in the day, I was living with my now ex-mother-in-law, and I moved in with a family of 4 because we were struggling, and she gave me one cupboard in the kitchen. She told me that I could put all of our dishes there, everything in that one cupboard, and one shelf in the fridge. But like we definitely look and focus on the one cupboard concept, because I kept trying to move into the other cupboards because it just wasn't enough space for a family of 4. And I kept telling her, this isn't enough space. And she just kept saying, no, you should be grateful. I gave you one cupboard. She had a whole kitchen downstairs. She didn't care about that. She just didn't want to move her stuff. Didn't want to accommodate to give us space. And so I slowly just started kind of moving her stuff into the cupboards, and then she'd come up and go, naughty, 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 no, you can't do that. This is my space. You're invading my space. And it was so difficult to live in those conditions. When I finally moved out, though, I found that I still lived out of one cupboard. I had bought a whole house. I had bought a house. I have a whole kitchen to myself, and I'm still living out of one cupboard. And it took years, and I'm still doing it. It's been almost 6 years. It's it's disturbing to me that I'm still doing it because there's still cupboards in my kitchen that have nothing in them. And I will try to put things in there and then I'll forget about them. I'll forget that they're in the other cupboards. And it's because I've been conditioned to live out of one cupboard. And it's me trying to break that conditioning. And the first step is awareness. Like, I'm aware, like, there are other cupboards. And you know what I need to do? I didn't even think about this, is start labeling the cupboards of what's in it. So that way I can better organize and see from the outside. And that is the awareness, right? The awareness, now I'm going to label it what it is. So that way I can destroy that cycle. I can get rid of that addictive behavior, because it's an addictive behavior because I've been conditioned to fit in that small cupboard. So, like any addictions, and some people, I mean, no one is forever. Like, there is this girl that I call her my soul sister, as I and she fall in emotional pain kind of issues together, so we mutual heal each other. Yeah. And those people are really good for you up until the point that they're not. And unfortunately, that's where the discernment comes in. Because if they stop growing, then there comes a decision that needs to be made if they are pulling you down instead of up. And the thing is, like, healing's not linear. And we might find that we're accidentally pulling them down. So it's all that awareness and making sure that we have that alignment where we're lifting each other up. You know, one might be ebbing, the other one's flowing. And then we're helping lift each other up. And we're kind of doing something like this. But if we find that we are both doing this, that there might be a time for space, if that makes sense. Yeah. Now,
and that's not to say to give up on people that take you down. It's the concept of the oxygen mask.
Yeah, we need to make sure we're taking care of ourselves first. And it is definitely the oxygen mask. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. Now we have religious differences. So her dad doesn't allow her to use her phone mostly. So if I'm in such a situation and she gradually sneaks the phone out and we talk, but if she can't sneak it out, I would feel much more pain, as I'm dependent at the end of the day, not by choice, rather by habit. Yeah, and the thing is to be able to find that vulnerability within the self, because you have that strength. If you're able to be there for someone else, you are very capable of being there for yourself, and learning that you can do that. You can balance the mind. So when we were talking about the Two of Swords, like being able to balance the mind, so then that way we don't have to have those cycles. We don't have to have part of those cycles. Let's see. Even when now alone in here, sure it was twice that when there was two people. I'm not understanding fully. Do you understand that comment?
Even when now alone in here, sure was twice.
Nice. Yeah. That when there was two people. Okay. Yeah. So you felt like you had. So is that like it was sure nice to have like someone around you that could help you? Is that what you're saying? Guys, I am gonna pull a few more cards and then we are gonna end the stream. Just because it's the end of the day. And I wanted to try to get in at least one of the readings. So this is about...
Could I add something about dependencies?
Yeah. Just speak loud enough so that Mike can...
Yeah. Well, just something that might help with the way that we think about being dependent or having a dependency is... Because the penned part is waiting to add... or like waiting for something to happen, and then the D part is not, or the opposite of. And so being dependent on something is our difficulty with waiting for something to be added. And so something that could help us deal with our dependencies is to dig into what is preventing us from being able to wait.
Right.
What is affecting our patience? What's tied to our difficulties with just holding space for ourselves instead of requiring that someone else holds the space for us?
Being vulnerable with the self.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not able to reflect and hold vulnerability for yourself, That could be why you have the addictive codependencies, and there's so many other types of dependencies, and I know relationships is only just one of the dependencies. I did pull a card and I laid it on the top here. I'm going to go ahead and flip this. So connecting through rituals. So when we say rituals, we don't mean like doing some spooky, witchy stuff. What we're talking about is building structure. And one of the things that I talked about was like, why don't I label my cupboards? That would be a ritual of understanding where I'm in, what I can do on a physical level to help break the conditioning. Making sure that I have a ritual of putting my keys hanging next to my door, so I know where my keys are. Things like that. Like if I get mad at myself for loss of things, put it in an area in which it is routine. So this is about developing new routine and new habits to break the conditioning.
Yeah. And it's when it comes to rituals and when it comes to habits, I find that it's extremely important for people to realize that that every single day is a new day, and what we fill our day with at the very beginning sometimes does not leave space for new habits and new rituals. And so I think that it's really valuable to practice new things if we're trying to create a habit. If we're trying to do habit forming, is to make it something that you practice the first thing at the beginning of each day.
Yeah, and one of the things that I started practicing at the beginning of each day that has really changed my life is it's small. It's a little affirmation that I tell myself, what does self-love look like today? And start my day thinking about that. Like, what does self-love look like today? When I first wake up, and sometimes that's Starbucks, sometimes it's boycott Starbucks, sometimes it is I need to drink more water, sometimes it is I would like to, eat better today. And it's always like, what can I do for myself today that will show that I love myself? And it changes every day. And sometimes it is make the bed, sometimes it's fuck making the bed. It changes every day. Like today I have self-love for myself, so I'm not going to make my bed today because I just don't have the energy to do that. And I love myself, so I'm not going to do that today. Or pushing through and making the bed because later on in the day when you crawl into the bed, you're not going to make the bed. You're not going to. And then the sheets are going to end up on the floor because you haven't developed a better habit. So it is understanding the routines that help us, and having a made bed to crawl into at the end of the night sometimes can be life-changing too, where you get better rest. So that's why these better habits being formed are so important. Okay, so sometimes it's not about waiting and patience. It's just that sometimes you feel dependent on a person who says, if you ever want a non-judgment, even want to scream your emotions out, I'm always there for you. Yeah, non-judgmental ear. You can do that for yourself though. And the thing is, having that awareness that you can have the unconditional love for yourself will change your world if you can get to that point. And it might not seem like it's possible, but it is possible. You can give yourself that unconditional love and be an ear for yourself. You can start crying for yourself. And that's why it's about grieving the aspects of self that you weren't able to pursue because you feel like these cycles have robbed you of it. So it's about like having that vigil for yourself. This is the vigil card. Okay. Having that awareness so you can break out, so you can start grieving who you should have been and then who you could have been, and then coming into these new baby steps, essentially. Taking those baby steps towards the direction of who you want to be. And sometimes that is, just allowing yourself to cry for yourself. Allow yourself to grieve what could have been, and just allow yourself to be in your feelings for like 5 seconds. Okay, so I'm not surprised this card came out. We were talking about coping mechanism, guys. This cycle is a masquerade. And it is upside down because we are playing with a masquerade. This is the masquerade card. So this is about like not having full awareness that we are putting up a mask of coping mechanism that's disallowing ourselves from being authentically ourselves. And that if we can see through the masquerade, if we can see through the cycles, if we can remove the blindfold, then we're able to then be who we truly are and not what we've been conditioned to be.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely a powerful reading, guys. But again, back topic is never lose hope. Like, don't lose hope. Because the thing is, if you lose hope, then it becomes a very big blindfold in which you cannot remove yourself from.
Yeah.
So as long as you hold hope, this little light that she's holding here, that's hope. And she might be at this crossroads, right? This crossroads of not being able to see how her purpose aligns with the world that's around her because of the conditioning that she's forced into. As long as she holds hope and hope remains, and through that sometimes we can find it through our innocence. And that's why this is about trying to remember ideally who we wanted to be, the purpose that we wanted, and yeah, it didn't fit conditionally with the world that we have today, but it doesn't have to remain that way. We have to find these alignments, we have to balance the mind, and we have to take off the blindfold. And intuitionally, if somebody's not aligning with us, we need to be able to let them go. And how we're going to let go is through changing our routines. Mm-hmm. We're not going to give in to the conditioning. We're going to reflect and see these cycles for what they are. Yeah, the most strong thing we have, exactly. As long as we don't lose hope, we'll keep going in the right direction and taking those baby steps. Because as soon as I talked about the cage bird and the bird that is in a cage, and if the bird loses hope, then it doesn't see when the door has been open. And the door's been open, and it for years didn't know that the door was open because it lost hope. The bird that doesn't lose hope is testing that door every single day, trying to see when that door is going to open again, trying to open the door itself. That is what hope looks like versus us conditioning to, like, this is a cage, it's never going to open. This is conditioning. It's a lie. It's a masquerade.
Yeah.
And we put ourselves in that by caging our own minds. So. This is the reason I call her my moon and my night sky. What is that?
Starting here.
Sure, how I have the ability to break out. Sorry. That's how I understood the dependencies I had, but yeah, it's hard to let go of such dependencies. Yeah, it is really hard. But as Monk said, you don't necessarily have to let these people go. We're not saying let them go. It's just having that awareness when we don't have the ability to help. It's like knowing I'm in a state of mind that I can't currently help, so I need to pull my energy back, put my oxygen mask on, so I don't lose hope in the process of trying to help this person. So as long as I am in a mental state that I can help, then I feel like I can help. But it's about you have to choose the self first, or you lose yourself in the trying to help.
And I offered what I said about the word dependent because I was trying to provide the foundation for understanding that having a dependency doesn't make you weak, but codependency is an example of where dependency has become unhealthy. The co part in front of dependency turns it into I depend on you, but as I depend on you, there's a string attached that then requires that you as the person also depend on me for whatever it is this exchange is. Depending on someone doesn't have to become codependent. I can train a student, I can take care of someone, and I can say, hey, I need you to go accomplish that task. I'm depending on you to get it done. Right? But it doesn't make us weak to depend on someone. It doesn't make us weak to trust that we no longer have to wait for them to add to their own life. Right.
It's about being able to choose the self, so then that way you are self-sufficient. and then that person can be then there to, you know, in their own self-sufficiency to then make your life like more abundant. Like they're there to share in all of the ups and the downs. But when codependence is unhealthy is when we are blind to the pain that a person is putting us through because we want them near.
Yeah. An unhealthy level.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, let's see. Let me finish the comments out, and then we'll go ahead and end stream. Okay, so this is the reason I already read that. Small step is thing to do. Not sure what is the point? Are you saying that you're not sure what the point is and small steps? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. It's the baby steps, the small steps matter.
They're just saying that like that the small steps do matter.
Yeah, they do.
They matter, and that like if you're not taking the small steps, then what's the point, right?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to take the small steps, then what are you doing, right?
Right. Well, and part of those small steps for me, I know that I was in a really toxic relationship, and one of the first things I had to work on was like brushing my hair, and it was a very small step, but it was a monumentous step. Because if I hadn't started combing my hair and trying to take care of myself on the daily basis, I wouldn't have been able to get out of that environment where I was living out of a cupboard. Because that was the darkest point of my life. And I just had to not lose hope and then start developing different routines in order to pull myself out of this very dark and brutal cycle of being surrounded by these people that didn't have my best interest in mind and were destroying who I was effectively. But anyway, want to join? Have a wonderful night. Wonderful to join. I'm glad that you joined too. Losing yourself in the purpose of helping. I know that as a certain, yeah. Alright guys, well thank you so much for having us, and Monk will be on sporadically. I will try to get him to speak louder and more towards the mic.
I'm
I hope
very
you guys...
close to the mic. I'm watching my balance levels.
You're watching the levels?
Yeah, I'm watching the balance levels.
Okay. He's got it, he says. I'll have to watch the VOD back. I trust you. Okay. Well, thanks again, guys. I will try to jump on again on Monday, doing more topic readings, and then any 3-card pulls or runes that come in. So, all right. Bye, guys!
Bye.
If not, I'll be working on my deck, because I'm working an Oracle deck, but all right. Bye, guys!